We're live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another DGB Group webinar. I'm your host, Pedro Zimmer, Head of Events and Resources, and today I'm joined by Project Director Haron Wachira, speaking directly from Kenya. Our topic today is the power of high-quality carbon credits, more specifically, the ones that DGB is developing in Kenya. We all know that carbon projects have impacts that go much further than just capturing CO2. Enhancing the local economy and biodiversity are also very important aspects of a holistic solution that will help us build a sustainable future. Now, before we begin, let's go over a couple of housekeeping details. This live webinar is being recorded, so it will be made available for you to rewatch it in the near future. While we do have a structure to be followed, this is a conversation and all of you are invited to participate. So if you have any questions or comments, feel free to type in the chat and we'll do our best to address all of them. One more thing that I'd like to inform you is that this webinar is being streamed directly from my computer, and currently, probably you can hear it, there's a pretty huge storm going on outside. And unfortunately, there is a slight chance of power outage or maybe an internet going down. So if this stream suddenly goes blank, that's probably the reason, and I already apologize in advance. Now, without further ado, I'd like to give a warm welcome to our guest speaker. How are you today, Haron? Can you introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit of what you do at DGB?
Thank you, Pedro. My name is Haron Wachira. I live in Kirinyaga in central Kenya. And it's from there that we manage the distribution of cookstoves and plant trees and do other carbon credits related programs all around Mount Kenya. And I have been doing this for a long time now. I got involved in carbon credits all the way back in 2004, I believe it was. And I have been working in rural settings from that time to date.
That's great to hear. So for you guys that are listening and don't know, we are mainly talking about today two projects from DGB, which are the Hongera Reforestation Project and the Hongera Cookstoves Project. You can read more about those projects at green.earth, our website. But also, I'd like to show you guys I'd like to show you guys a video. This is a video that is available on your YouTube channel as well if you'd like to watch it later. And it's a short introduction on the Hongera Reforestation Project.
A project like this is benefiting the individual, benefiting the community and the environment at the same time.
Well, that certainly looks awesome. I can't wait to personally visit that one day. And we have the star of this video here today with us, Haron, to tell us a little bit how these projects are going on. So, Haron, before we talk about the projects themselves and what they're doing, I think it's very important for us to really understand what was the reality of Kenya before those projects. So can you tell us about rural Kenya and what economic or environmental challenges the local population was facing?
Yes, for many years of my life, I worked in the city of Nairobi, developing software and doing other very complex projects for blue chip companies. And when I started going back in rural Kenya in the 80s, in the 90s, I think late 90s, I was really surprised about how much poverty had happened. We used to have the rule of a former president who was called Daniel Arap Moi. And during his time, the Kenyan economy had virtually collapsed. And that means the average person could not make ends meet. It means the coffee industry, which had been thriving before, had collapsed. It meant that the tea industry was struggling along, and farmers were just having a very difficult time. So I got involved in there and worked with quite a number of families, I think 150 families to start with, helping them to think through ways and means of doing things better. Better agriculture, better livelihood planning, better investing, better improvement of their farms. And the biggest challenge in all those programs was who would fund it, who would fund those activities. So when we got to understand carbon credits and found partners to implement projects, it was possible to now have a staff of very qualified people in the rural areas training farmers to keep their animals better, or to grow their coffee more efficiently, or to be able to improve their livelihoods in terms of eating better food, and in our case funded through carbon credits. So our investors would make that money available. We train the farmers, and the farmers do better. Then they plant trees like avocado trees for their forestation program. They save money on firewood by using the Hongera Cookstove. And all around that ecosystem would now become a mechanism through which they not only can get the direct benefits of using a cookstove that emits very little, or a tree that will give them fruits that they can sell, but also we have the money to be able to train them to uplift their lives in other ways. So it's a change from constant trouble of living in poverty to having a mechanism through which they can progressively come out of poverty.
That's great to hear, and it's a great overview of how these projects are affecting essentially the day-to-day lives of these farmers in Kenya. So I've got one more question regarding how Kenya looks like, because whenever I think of farms, I have a very, very specific idea in my mind, which I come from South Brazil. So farms here are usually very small family, farms with maybe 1 or 2 hectares and 1 or 2 kind of cultures going on there. But then I remember when I traveled for the first time to the center part of Brazil, which are the big, big farms of Brazil, I saw a completely different thing, which was industrial farming and these huge companies that owned a lot of land that were doing things. And the farms looked completely different from a homestead, farm that I was used to see here in Brazil. And I imagine that our listeners, that most of them are from Europe, whenever they think about farms, they also have a different image in their minds, an European farm, which I personally don't know because I've never been to Europe, so I don't know how these farms look like. So how these farms in rural Kenya look like? Are they usually small? Are they family owned? How is this thing going on there?
Our farms in Kenya are very small. The average farm size is like half an acre, or just thereabouts. A very small area. There will be a household there. The farmer will be keeping a cow or a goat, and at the same time trying to grow a few stems of coffee, and at the same time also trying to grow food for their use, for their own livelihood. So you're talking about very, very small farms. So when we plant trees, a typical farm will plant like maybe 10 or 15 trees. Excuse me.
Bless you.
The average farmer will plant 10 to 15 trees and live on that household with maybe about 5 to or so members of their family. So it's small families, the majority of whom earn less than $2 a day. So it's bottom of the pyramid. But when they get involved in programs that we are rolling out, it is possible to increase their coffee production by more than 10 times over a 3-year period. It is possible to get them to grow crops that generate income, like moringa oleifera. It is possible to get them to increase the yield of their cow so that they can get more than double what they were getting before. So the practical reality is that by being part of a network that has got experts and agronomy support programs, the farmers can improve their livelihood significantly.
That's great to hear. And can you tell us a little bit about that? How does this process works? So when a farmer or a company decides to join forces with a farmer to start a carbon project, how is this process? How do you select farmers? How do farmers get to know about these projects? And what is the implementation process as well?
Yeah, our mobilization is an exercise where we send field officers or members of staff to the community to identify people in their groups and ask them whether they would like to be part of a program. And then they join. And when they join, we have a training program introducing them to the project, explaining the benefits. And those who register then now go through the formal process because they own title to their land and they own their homesteads. It is possible for them to commit to be part of a project by signing into it and then doing the things that are required to get a project going, like planting a tree and taking care of it and making sure it does not get cut over the next project years, which in our case is a 40-year period. And during that period, then we are engaging them in activities that are improving their livelihoods. Our groups meet typically once a month, and they discuss their challenges, they discuss the project, they discuss what areas to improve. So every month they are addressing something new or something regular that they keep for that particular project. So they start small, they start few, and they add their own members as they go along. Thanks.
That's interesting. So it's not just joining a group to plant the trees in your backyard. Essentially, they are joining a group that is actively meeting every month, and there are other activities they get involved. It's essentially forming more of a community between all these farmers as well.
Yes, they become members. They know each other. They sign an accountability charter. I will take care of my cook stove. I will make sure that my tree does not get cut. They inspect one another. They go visiting. They appoint a farmer who is a model farmer who establishes like a demo garden, and others come to learn there, and others are brought in where we bring in experts. We provide a mechanism for them to access capital through a cooperative from carbon credits that they can borrow through the inputs that they need to improve their livelihoods. So all the facilitation that are needed to institutionalize the mechanism for growing wealth are built into the project. So the carbon credits is one flow of funds in, but because investors give this money in advance, it is possible to start from day one to give a benefit to the farmers that really make them one organization that is growing every day and doing better things than what they were doing before. And we have good examples. I can give you the example of one of our champions. She was in the last year's World Forest Day. She was nominated to go and represent Kenya women among the women that live in the rural area, but doing good activities on climate mitigation. She grew up in a farm where the father was a forester, but ended up now using that skill to organize a group that we work with, and that group grows trees, seedlings that we buy, and then they plant them and they help the farmers all around them. Her name is Lois, and Lois travels to all those homes showing members of their community the importance of growing trees, how to plant them, and then now also gets noticed by government and gets to talk about climate mitigation. If you meet her in a function like that, you would think that she is the head of an NGO, but she is a woman living in the rural area with other women, helping to deal with development that is clean, for planting trees, using cook stoves at the local level. So the benefits are visible, very visible.
That's really interesting to hear, because what comes to my mind is that carbon is really the first step, but there's so much more that flows out of that, and that ends up. It's pretty much the benefits kind of compound and just get greater and greater as times go on. It's kind of exponential. And how is how do the farmers they first saw this program when it first started? Did they accept it at first? Were they excited by it? Were they kind of resistant? How was this process to get the farmers involved?
Our organization has got a lot of experience mobilizing farmers, and we were mobilizing farmers even before we got into carbon credits, and we talk about shared aspirations. You know, a farmer joins a project because they want to be in a place where they can get credit when they need it. They can be able to take their kids to school. They can eat healthier food. They can get knowledge. So the whole issue about planting trees is just one of many activities. But they join a group so that they can be part of a development-oriented program. Once they are in there, then the training focuses them on all the activities that will be done. So we will be planting trees. Do you like that? Yes. We plant these sort of trees, and they say, well, can we add another tree like this one because it does better here? So it's a two-way communication of interacting with the farmers, both in terms of enlightening them, but also getting their input and feedback into the project so that the project can be tailored and contextualized to their own environment. And that journey is a long-term journey. We have local people, group leaders, we have ambassadors, we have field officers who spend time with them, boots on the ground, and they're seeing each other every day. We have a feedback mechanism where this information is shared upwards with other partners. We have visitations where our partners visit and they spend time with the community. I just come from a place where somebody who visited our group was talking about the experience of dancing in the village and how this person really, really liked that whole experience. And they themselves will talk about how they interacted with people from another community. So it's bonding that happens over a period of time and which is sustained through common and beneficial activities both ways. So if the farmer can see their coffee is getting better, they see that their child can have money to go to school, they see that their farm is producing more, they themselves are living a better lifestyle, they have social connections, then it becomes something you don't want to lose. Just like in life, when you form a friendship. You form a friendship and you grow it over time, but it's only sustained by things that you do together that makes that relationship worthwhile. That's our experience, and that's how we do it on the ground.
Wow, that's really, really amazing to hear. And it makes perfect sense. Once you are part of something that is doing good for you, there is no reason not to be part of that anymore. I can hear that probably the storm that was here in Brazil probably caught up to Kenya right now. I can hear the rain for you as well. What are today, regarding all this process, what are the challenges, the main challenges that these projects are facing?
Yeah, the main challenges that we face are, first of all, some investors, not DGB, but some investors that we work with will not understand the importance of a comprehensive and holistic approach. So getting the investors to see that the project needs to be holistically covered, addressing even things that do not look like they are carbon credit related. It's a very important issue. And then, of course, small-scale farmers with small farms also subdivide the farms further, or the farms change hands, and the farmer may have committed a project of 40 years, and then now that land, because maybe the father dies, gets left with a younger person who does not want to grow, to be in agriculture. So we have mitigation activities for each one of these, but life has its own challenges. Another significant challenge in our case is government, because whereas we are working directly with small-scale farmers, these farmers are also working in government forests, like, for example, to be able to get spaces for their own tree nurseries and all of that. And sometimes when government officers change or are changed, they could cause some disruptions at the CFA or the Community Forest Association level. But challenges are part of life. And then, of course, there are people who do not want to learn, irrespective of how much resources are available. There's always a percentage of people who are part of a program, who are thinking maybe it's a project to get some money from. But, if they need to attend a training session, where do I get from my time? Who will pay me for that time, etc.? So our whole approach is to establish a solid relationship with the community and face every day as life goes by, so that when the challenges come from whichever area, we are not addressing them as people being told what the challenges are and then we have to respond to them, but we are facing those challenges together. We are walking a journey together in which we identify the obstacles that come our way and what is the best way of solving them. And so far, we have a good compliance rate, very good, actually. So I don't think that we have had any challenges that we cannot overcome.
Oh, that's great to hear. And it's very interesting when you say that, because whenever I attend webinars or hear conversations of people speaking about carbon projects and carbon capture projects, the challenges that we face are very similar to the ones that you are mentioning. Like whenever we purchase a carbon credit, how can we be sure that this project will actually keep capturing carbon and not just cut the trees next year and release all the carbon that it had captured this year again back, and then eventually will not make any change whatsoever for the environment overall. And it's very interesting because the second challenge that you mentioned is very, I think, is very related to what you mentioned about the holistic solutions that we have. Whenever we are implementing a project like that, one of the things that we have to mitigate risk, and not only mitigate risk, but make sure that it's going to be a successful project, is exactly what you said, a holistic approach that will give the farmers a reason, give everyone involved a reason to maintain this project working, to maintain these trees standing. For example, whenever you mentioned the example of a farmer that has maybe children that don't want to be agricultures, that's understandable. But maybe they don't want to be agriculturists because they don't have a reason for that. They're not part of a holistic chain of events and circumstances that make them want to be that. Or if there is a holistic solution taking care of that, that wouldn't even be a problem, because if they don't want to be agriculturists, they want to go and be software programmers, lawyers, doctors, whatever they want to be, they can go and do that. And still, if we have a holistic approach to this, those trees will be well taken care of, no matter who is taking care of that land. So I think this is a great example that you just brought to us right here. My main question, well, we have a couple of minutes left. Sorry,
Is it okay? I can also add that we work in partnership with others who are like-minded. So if there's somebody in the community who is offering let's say a public health awareness program, it is possible for us to work with them because that is something that we would like to accomplish. For example, we have a partnership with an organization called Banda Health, and Banda Health provides software in a clinic that makes it possible for members of a community to manage their clinic in a much better way. We work with another partner called Cookies that is linked to DGB, but which makes beehives available by funding beehives so that farmers can pay for them long term. The bees improve the ecosystem, and at the same time also the farmers have got time to get additional income. So when you add all of these compounded benefits, our benefits, their own learning, the partners, the income streams they see, the opportunities. We had a very interesting experience recently when we were being taught, when I say we and our farmers, on how to harvest bee venom. Before they know how to deal with honey, all of a sudden they learn that 1 gram of venom will cost like 10 kilos of honey. All of a sudden those opportunities begin to become really, really big, and that we can use that bee venom to make beauty products like soap or something like that. So the application can be local, the benefits are immediate, there are many, and it is a new step that those people have gone into. The commitment level in the project becomes, solid, because people stay in a relationship only if it is giving them, it's meeting the needs that they have, both felt and later on aspirational needs that they will want. and they have an opportunity to begin to request for more. He says, "Hey, you taught us about beekeeping, and I have just learned that there is also something else that we can learn. Can you bring it on?" And then we look for those partners and we bring them over. So it's an exciting journey for all of us, and that makes the project very, very sustainable long term, because you are not looking at a relationship where we are just giving or taking away, but we are talking about a relationship where we are building each other.
That is amazing to hear. And that's truly, I believe, the vision for the projects to be long, sustainable, and keep working in the future. Now, on that note, a little bit, I have one last question, and then I'm going to check if we have any questions from our audience, because we're almost up our time right now. But what about the future? We've seen that these projects allow people to discover so many new things, discover new ways of making income, and ways of sustaining their farms in much more sustainable ways that can improve even further exponentially. What does the future look like? What can we expect from the near and far future in these projects?
Yeah. First of all, the future is to add new projects in the same within the same communities. For example, if we are growing trees with a community, it is possible for us to introduce biochar. Biochar generates carbon credits, but it can be applied in the same farm so that the farmer gets more crops, better retention of water, and at the same time we lock carbon in the soil. Excuse me, I hope, please forgive that noise in the background. But that's the future is new projects. Then the other thing in the future is to move on with those communities to new heights. If they, for example, are dealing with coffee in an improved way, getting the market so that it is possible for them to sell high quality coffee in an export market, or to process macadamia and have an investor come and deal with a macadamia factory, just keeps adding to what we already have. So we have what we've got, we have better agronomy, we have new crops, we have better facilities, so we do more around that same environment. That's the future. So we intend to stay with those communities for a long time. Thanks.
Well, that is absolutely great to hear. We have one comment from Muyunda, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, sorry, saying that this is a very great initiative and it's very great interaction. So thank you very much for your kind words. And it's interesting also, well, this person is also interested in learning about the possibility of extending this work to Zambia, maybe other countries. So Muyunda, if you do want to extend this and do participate in these kinds of projects, check out our website, get in touch with someone from our team, and we'll be more than happy to talk to you and see what we can do, because we're always looking for opportunities. So get on our website, you can learn about our projects there, you can learn about how our process works, and get in touch with us. We'll be able to make this conversation move forward. So, Haron, we have 1 minute left and no other questions. Do you have any final words that you would like to share with our amazing audience today?
Yeah, I think I can say we are open to expanding into other areas, and I would tell Mr. Muyunda that you can go to DGB's website and express your interest there, and we will definitely look into it. Or you can look up my name on the internet and look me up. I think my contact details are there, even on LinkedIn. We can take that forward. But for all of you who are involved in development activities, I would say let's think of a way of developing individuals holistically, not just one area, but holistically, their lives, their income, their social connections, their sourcing of funding, their sustainability, the climate question, because when we do that, we have projects that will last for many years. Thank you.
Well, Thank you, Haron, so much for your participation today and for sharing our stories with us. I hope that I can count on you for future webinars because half an hour went by so fast, and I do believe that you have so many other stories that I would love to hear. So hopefully we can do this again in the near future. And for everyone that has been watching us, thank you so much for joining. We're very, very thankful for you to be here. We hope that this webinar was informative and entertaining, why not, for you as well. If you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us via our website, green.earth, or reach out to Haron or myself, looking us over on any social media that we're available, LinkedIn, on our website as well. So thank you so much for joining. I hope that you have enjoyed. We're having more webinars in the near future that are going to be announced, also about our projects, but also about the carbon market. We're trying to vary a lot on our content, and I really hope that you enjoyed that. Thank you so much, and see you next time.